Hi guys, welcome back to Overtime Heroics MMA. I'm Martin Hamilton and I'm joined today by Cage Warriors lightweight Stevie McIntosh. How you doing, Stevie?
How's it going, mate? You all right?
I'm all right. One of the things that always strikes me when I watch your fights and I look you up online is you must have the most Scottish nickname in the world. Mop.
They've tried to change my nickname now. My brother, it was kind of predominantly called that. It was when we were all going from primary school to high school. We had mind all David Beckham with the curtains. So it was like a mop. And my oldest brother Barry, he's like 36 or something now. But when he first went up to the high school, that's what he got called. And then Craig still had the same haircut when he went up to the high school, so he got it and all. And I was the only one that I had that kind of normal short back and sides when I went up, so I was all right. But I never really got called it as much at school. But as I've got older and went through it at a higher level, I'm just kind of wee mop. So everybody's always just called me mop as well. So it's just kind of stuck for there. And I think most folk in the gym kind of know me as Stevie Mop. But a few of the lads have fucking stitched me up now. I'm getting called the Major. Because I go to Celtic games and that, and I've got a season ticket. A lot of time I was going straight for training at the games, and I had one Stone Island jumper and that was it for there, mate. They've been calling me the Major, so it's kind of stuck. I kind of find it at first, man, I was hating it, but I've just kind of stuck with it now, and it's quite funny actually. So I didn't mind it.
So is that your next fighting nickname, the Major?
I had that for that fight there, it brought me a bit of lucky charm, so I'm just going to fucking stick with it now. I think you can't really pick your fight names there. I think you kind of get them in gyms and that was it. You kind of just have to stick with them.
Because that's it. Like you're just fresh off your first ever victory on one of Europe's biggest promotions. Like how does that feel?
It was good, man. I always had confidence it would happen. But the problem is with Cage Warriors, it's just not a problem. It's a good thing. It's what I want, but it's just hard fight after hard fight. There's nowhere to hide. I was coming off a loss. Obviously, when I fought Mehdi, I taken that on a bit of short notice. But it was just it's not like you'd be like, all right, I'll just get a nice easy one to get me back in. You're right up against it, and that's what MMA is all about. You're testing your skills against the best guys in Europe. And that's all I've ever wanted to do. For anything, I used to play football when I was younger, and I always wanted to be like a professional football player and get to a good level. And when that didn't work out for me, I thought I'll get into MMA, and I've got to the level now that I can show people that I'm one of the best in Europe, and I'm want to try and win that belt. You know, that's my main goal. Everybody wants to get to UFC, which if I can get the belt, I think will come. But I just one step at a time, man. I'm happy to get that first win out the way. It kind of takes a wee bit of the pressure off. Against a solid opponent, and I see what comes next, man.
Because that's it. You're hitting the nail right in the head. Cage Warriors, it is the best European promotion. So you are fighting the best guys in Europe, and they're only growing. They're now advancing out to America and putting shows out in there. So it's the level that you're fighting at is really good. So getting hard fights after hard fights, it's just going to make you as a fighter better.
Yeah, 100%, man. That's like I said, it's what it's all about. I've always wanted the hardest fights. Even on the local scene, I always ask for the hardest fights, and sometimes I didn't get the guys I was wanting, but just the way it goes, a couple of times I end up getting hit with guys that are nowhere near on your level, getting guys pulling out all the time and stuff. It's just not good. But with Cage Warriors, when you're matched, that's the guy you're going to be fighting. Very rarely at that high level, people don't pull out unless they're genuinely injured. So it's a shark tank in there. It's all the top guys in Europe, and every match is a 50-50 match is what I like. If you watch the trilogy, there wasn't any total mismatches. It was every fight was really competitive and a good standard.
Did you get a bit? See your first fight in Cage Warriors. Did you feel it a lot more? Because obviously you came from fighting on top, which is based in a lot of time it's based in the community centre in Linwood. So you went from that into Cage Warriors. Did you feel that jump up and show?
Nah, it was weird, man. I think it was probably a bad thing. I wasn't actually that nervous for the fight. I knew it was going to be tough, because Mehdi was always like one of the top boys in the lightweight division, like obviously, but I feel like I full camp I beat him. It's just it is what it is. Like he beat me fair and square. But the jump up, I don't think so, because I've been around big shows all the time. As in, like I've cornered Stevie in the UFC a couple of times, and I've been out to like ACBB and I've been to all the big shows. I've helped corner, although I've not fought in them. You're still getting that experience of being there. And I cornered at Cage Warriors. I was actually meant to fight before I fought Mehdi. I had got offered a fight. I'll not name the guy's name, but I accepted it, and it was all going ahead. I actually started cutting weight for the fight and that, and then the boy must have got offered me and another guy, and he decided to take the other guy last minute. So I was a bit of a nightmare. So that Mehdi fight, I obviously taken short notice, and then it was because it was York Hall. It's not like it's a massive venue. Like it's an amazing place to fight because it's so like for history, and that it's such an amazing place. Like some of the top guys in the world, boxers have fought there. It was pretty cool, but it's just a normal wee hall, man. Like it wasn't any different to fighting it on top. Although when you come out and the cage is a bit bigger and nicer, and the like obviously the lighting and all that, and the big rig and all that is a bit cooler. But apart from that, it's just a scrap, man. And because there's been no fans, it's like feels it's not weird, but I like it because I can hear James really clear. But it's no different, honestly, man. It's just a fight at the end of the day. Like, when I'm in there, it's tunnel vision. I'm trying to take the other guy out, and that's it.
Because James has mentioned this before, actually, that you practice a lot of visualization in the run up to the fight. So to practice for having no fans, you run that through in the gym. Do you think that's played a big part in the fans not being as much an issue to you?
The first time I fought with, to be honest, first time I fought, it was tough to even get training partners because of the obviously pandemic and that. It was like folk weren't in training really, and the last one we kind of done it. I mean, I'm not a big one. I mean, I always visualise myself winning, but I didn't really read too much into that kind of stuff, to be honest. I'm no massive on it, like, but that one there, it was pretty good because like I actually never even noticed it, but James had like a kind of we were sparring in silence because we always spar with music on. We were sparring, and I actually never even noticed. But when I done my 3-5s, and this was like right before my fight, then 3-5s, and I actually had kind of like a wee kind of crowd noise, and I didn't even notice it. But he said to me after, "Did you know?" And I was like, "Oh fuck!" And then so it was quite good. Like, so it was kind of more like an actual fight, and the rounds were a bit more intense. Like, see me as soon as you go in the cage at higher level, it's like fucking square go, man. Boys are trying to knock each other's head off, like. But it's all when you're up on mat, it's a bit more relaxed, and maybe it's trying to hurt each other, but like it's a bit more intense in the cage, and a bit more like a fight, which I liked. I like that intensity right before a fight. It's good to get like as in I'm not saying like a week before the fight, like a couple of weeks out. It was good to get that and just feel the shots a bit more, and you're going on a fight, so like you need to be prepared there. It's like you need to know what's going to be coming, so it's good to just get your body prepared for that.
Because it's a good thing you've mentioned this, because this has been something that's been very prominent in the media this week. I'd like to get your opinion on it. I don't know if you've seen the video, but did you see the video of Dustin Poirier when he fought the guy in sparring?
No, I've not seen that, no.
All right. It was a video Kobe Covington had put out in it's Dustin Poirier sparring, but he says Kobe Covington said that it was an amateur that he was sparring, and Dustin Poirier kind of put some on his arse, but it looks like a straight right, and floors him. So, and the world went into a bit of a frenzy about it. Like, everybody was arguing, like, is Dustin Poirier like kind of horrible for doing this, or is he? And it's like
people. People like to spar differently, to be honest. Each to their own. But I'm no big on like trying to kill each other and sparring. Like, I know you need to prepare for the fight, and I mean, I've done a lot of hard rounds over the years, but I think as I'm getting older and a bit wiser and that, like, you can get good sparring at being technical, and like there's times you need to turn it up a bit, and you can do it with pace, but you shouldn't be trying to knock, like, literally throwing 100% at the shots during sparring. I just think that's stupid. If you want to have any longevity in the sport, I don't think it's the smartest thing to do. Like, like we can go hard at times, but none of us are like trying to really hurt each other with. But like you can do it a wee bit more with like kicks and stuff, and like, but I think with a target in the head, it's a bit more dangerous. Like especially with, like ground and pounding that, your head's got nowhere to go, and you're getting up and doing another fresh round. It's not like the fight's over after that. It's like you've got to do another 5 rounds or something. So, everybody spars differently, like I said, but for me, I think it's like look after your training partners. Like you want to make it to the fight. You know what I mean? That's where you're getting your money and whatever. You want to make it there. You don't want to be like pulling out wind at the cane. That's probably a lot of time you see. There's 2 reasons why people pull out fights, either because they're sparring like idiots, but like getting injured right before fights, or their bottle goes. It's one of the 2.
Because do you ever get pulled up for how hard you are sparring before fights? But maybe not you in particular, but some of the rest of your teammates. Does James ever tell you, look, reel it in? Say Mark Brown, for example, he's next up in the list for fights. Does he ever turn around and go, look, take it a bit easier on him, stop throwing his heavy to the body and the head?
James watches it for that. Like James watches all the rounds. So he's always saying like, me and my brother used to spar pretty hard. Me are just like a brother kind of thing. So he actually ended up making a rule where like if he wasn't there, we weren't allowed to spar each other. So I know. He watches it for stuff like that, and he's like, because it happens. See, to be honest, we're really, because we've got quite a tight knit team and we're all sparring together all the time. We didn't really do it to each other often. Like it doesn't really, like the odd time, and maybe somebody gets hit a good shot and you kind of, just kind of the adrenaline and whatever, you kind of react to it. But like it's more the beginners that they do it, that they're kind of trying to prove a point or whatever, or young amateurs coming through and try to like show they can do a bit. You just didn't get in and fit because like didn't get me wrong, you get some good amateurs, but like majority of the time the pro guys are going to kind of have their way with you if they want to up it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Just to jump back to that, the fight you've just had, did you feel any extra pressure on this fight because how your first fight in Cage Warriors went?
No, really, man. There's always pressure with fights. You always want to win, and I think if I had went on to my first 2 fights, it would have been a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. But I hadn't even really thought about it because honestly, like the way I was thinking about it, like I said, I done a 12-week camp for this fight. I literally could not have done it anymore. I stayed in the gym to do extra sessions in the morning and all that. Like I put my heart and soul in it, to be honest. Like I really wanted to make sure I won that fight. I knew the work was done by the time I got there. Like the time I started fight, like when I knew I was time to go, you see me going to the cage, like I'm happy to be there. Like I'm excited. Like, I'm just excited to perform because I knew all the work was done. So there's nothing I could do at that point. You know what I mean? If you know you put all the hard work in, whatever happens. MMA is a crazy sport. Like it takes one shot to change everything. You're naive if you think that's not the case. Like it'll just take the point. You'll eventually get humbled, and that will happen to you. It's just such an unpredictable sport that you can do everything. I've had camps where I made like trained my arse off, done everything, left no stone unturned. Like I've done it for every camp. I've never cut any corners in any fights, and I've lost in the past. So it is what it is. Like I just train my hardest for every fight, and whatever happens. Like I always feel confident going in. I always feel like I can beat the guy, or I wouldn't take the fight if I didn't think I was going to win. Like it's just stupid just fighting if you think you're going to get bluttered. Like but I feel I can beat everybody in the lightweight division. There's no fight I wouldn't take. Like it's just, it is what it is. Like you can train as hard as you want and you can do everything right, and sometimes it just doesn't happen at night. You need to perform in the night, and that's what it's all about. It's performing under that pressure, and that's what makes the best fighters.
Because that's quite an interesting thing. An interesting thing you're saying there, because that makes a lot of sense. Let's see, if you have put everything in to your training camp, then there'd be no real need for the kind of anxiety or nerves before the fight, because you know you've done everything you could do, and that's the main thing.
That's it, man.
You were talking about thinking about next fights there, but we've seen your teammate Scott Malone. He's had a quick turnaround since the Cage Warriors trilogy. Is that something that we expect to see from yourself as well?
Well, I think they've asked for me for the next trilogy. It's just because I work full time, so it's where I could get the holidays off to fight. Like that fight there, I had to attend 2 weeks off for the actual fight. I just take a week off, like because it was obviously the summer and that after, but I need at least a week for the fight as well to get off. So I mean, I'm hoping I'll be fine, and I'm just I've got that niggle with my ankle, and it's just ligament damage, like slightly. So I'm hoping it's not going to be like mute for a long time, or what. I don't think it will. To be honest, I'm going to try and get back to training on Monday and just get moving again. See what I can do. But ideally, I want to get back on the next trilogy and try and get another good name and get towards that belt. I think Decky was quite highly ranked. I think he was, if he beat me, he maybe would have been one fight away for the belt or something along those lines.
That was his sixth fight in Cage Warriors, wasn't it?
I think it was his seventh, and he's no lost his last three or something like that. So
yeah,
they had he had fought one of my teammates in the past, so I knew he was good because I cornered Alex for that fight. And I've always, to be honest, I enjoy watching him fight. He's exciting, man. He's kind of similar to me in a way. Like his style's kind of same. He likes to come and finish, and he's pretty good everywhere. He obviously predominantly likes to strike, but I want to get another good name and get climbing up that ladder. And quickest way I can try and get to that belt, the better for me.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Sorry, my mind a wee bit back there.
Yeah, right, mate.
So, like, because you were talking about there, like some of your other teammates who fought on the card, like Scott Malone, the likes of Luke Shanks,
yep.
Keir Hardy made his Cage Warriors debut. So you went 4-0 at what the biggest promotion in Europe. What is it that you guys are doing that's like different to what the other teams are doing? Because we've not really seen a result like that for Scottish MMA where they've just come in and absolutely cleaned up.
James, man, to be honest, like I always fucking get my tongue at his arse, like, but it's just like a really good coach. Like it's no disrespect to any other coaches. There's a lot of good coaches in Scotland as well, 100%. Like there's a lot of good teams. I just feel like James is so advanced. See if somebody, like for me, I always like it for coaching, someone that's been there and done it. He knows everything you're going through. Like he's had fight. It's not that he's done it over a small period. Like he's done it last 15 years, 20 years. Like and he's had guys at the highest levels, and world champions. Like so guys in UFC. He's had fights Bellator. It's guys all over the world fighting, and it's always been the top gym for me in Scotland. When I came up, I used to train. When I first started, I was at Alawa's. I used to train at Hostile Territory, a wee gym, and that's what I remember. But back then, they're like, "Oh, Dinky Ninjas is the best." And that was just the way it was. Like, that was my first fight. I ended up getting somebody for the grip puss as well. But I was like working 10 years ago or something now. But I know I just think James's coaching is amazing. It just and we've just got a good pool of fighters, and everybody's got a good work ethic. And you're even getting guys like Chris Shaw who are coming to train, who's a Thai boxer.
Yeah, because I've seen he's got his first Thai boxing fight out of your gym coming up soon. That just came a couple days ago. So
he's got his first fight out of our gym. Chris has had 50 odd Thai boxing fights. He's like a world class Thai boxer. He's signed to win championship. He's like, I've sparred with a lot of good, because I've competed in Thai boxing as well, and sparred with some decent guys over the years. And Chris technically is the best guy I've ever sparred Thai boxing. But yeah, he's world class. Like he's very, very good, because he's probably, I think he can make 62 kilos or 61 kilos, and he gives me trouble like sparring. He's very, very good. But that's what I mean. Like even guys like that come, and James has obviously competed in Thai boxing, but he's not solely a Thai boxing coach. But that just shows you like how good a coach he is when you've got guys who are like world class Thai boxers coming to get coaching off James. You know what I mean? So it just shows the kind of he can kind of break down any martial art. To be honest, he's good, man.
That must be a huge benefit for you as well. Like these guys are coming from, because we spoke about it a wee bit off air as well, that you now have dorms in higher level. You've got guys coming over for SBG. Wook Shanks came up for England. He's now made higher level his home and has been very successful there. And you've a couple of really high ranked Serbians over now as well, don't you?
We had a mad Serbian there, Alex. He's I think he's 10-1, 11-1 or something like that. He was pretty good, man. He been there a few times. Like I think it's just again with the COVID stuff, he's not managed to get back over. But had a lot of good guys over come to train and I think that kind of just speaks volumes. Like we've got Dylan Chuk over full time now as well. You know, we've obviously had Luke, who's been successful, obviously Cage Warriors world champion, and then he's fighting for his belt in the next trilogy to get his belt back. So I think it just shows the level of coaching. Also the training partners, like especially about that lightweight kind of featherweight area, we've got some like top guys, some really good bodies, like, and you've got young lads. I think you'll probably know him. Mark Youn's got his pro debut coming up. He's outstanding, man. Like he's very, very good. He's been one of my training partners since he's joined us. I think he's been there a wee while now, like kind of year and a half, 2 years or whatever. But he's came on leaps and bounds, man. He's a total freak athlete as well. And he's probably the fucking best looking guy I've ever seen in my life. He does modelling and all that. He's kind of the full package, yeah.
You have young Sean Clancy coming through as well, don't you?
He's excellent too. Like there's so many even young boys that didn't even like Coonley, man. Stephen Coonley's got a fight at the weekend as well. And when he turns it on, he's fucking nightmare, eh? It's just sometimes getting him to do it on the night, but that'll all click for him at some point, and you'll see how good he is. And then you've got, like you say, Sean Clancy's a freak, man. Like I think he's 18 now. I've been training that kid since he was like was 13 or something like that, 14, and he's just keeps growing, man. It's fucking freaking me out because he keeps getting bigger, eh? Every time I grapple, I'm like, he's fucking strong, man. He just keeps getting bigger and bigger. I think he's like 85, 86 kilos now, eh?
Because is that one of the big differences that you're seeing now compared to maybe when you were coming through the ranks, that young guys nowadays, when they're 13, 14-year-olds, they're not really wanting to be footballers anymore? But some obviously are, but a lot of them will be mixed martial artists. And they're at a young age into it.
Definitely, man. It's getting younger and younger for the guys coming through. Like when I never got into MMA till I was 21. I'm now 30. So like, but I mean, I played football all my life. Like I just think it's a big part of it is Conor McGregor. Like to be honest, I think he's managed to do amazing things for the sport because he's brought a lot of eyes to the sport and it's got more folk into it for a young age. I think everybody wants to be Conor McGregor, but when you actually start doing martial arts, you end up falling in love with it. It's an amazing. I think it just makes you a better person in general doing martial arts. To be honest, like I think getting humbled a bit doesn't do any damage moving forward. Like I used to think I could actually. I was never thought I was a hard man, but like before I went through a higher level, like I thought I'm pretty good and whatever. And won my first fight, like knocked the guy out in 16 seconds. So I'm like, oh man, I must be again. Like I went through there and you're no long fucking put in your place. Like got fucking Martin Delaney and Stevie Ray throwing you about.
Danny
Henry, fucking Graham Turner, Keir Malone. I mean, the fucking list goes on and on.
Yeah, because that's what you're saying as well. Like martial arts, I think it does make people better in most ways. It teaches them discipline, helps relieve a lot of kind of negative energy. So I think getting a lot of the younger guys through the door a higher level and through the door at all the other gyms in Scotland can only really be a positive, especially for the sport in Scotland, because it's still relatively young over here. Like I'm only 24, and I remember watching it maybe 10 years ago, and it wasn't martial arts, like mixed martial arts. It was cage fighting.
That's it. It's definitely came a long way. Like, and like you say, it's just going to get bigger and bigger as the sport grows, as like time goes on. It's just going to keep, because there's so many different promotions in that now too. So I don't think, although the UFC is still the main kind of one that everybody wants to get to, there's different avenues to go down there. Like Cage Warriors is pretty big now, and Bellator's doing good things, and you've got your Braves and your EFCs in South Africa, one championship. Like there's lots of shows to get on there. Like it's not just, I think, getting to the UFCs the be all and end all. But like obviously, I think that's everybody's target because that's where the best guys are. And if you're a proper martial artist and a proper fighter, you want to test yourself against the best guys, and that's where I want to get to at some point. Like if it doesn't happen, so be it, man. I don't really put much pressure on myself. Like MMA is a tough gig. Like it's financially, it's tough to make a living out of it. So that's why I still work full time. Like it's very difficult to kind of make a living out. Like actually, I forget if you've got a house and stuff like that, you kind of need to. You kind of just need to kind of scrape by. But at the end of the day, that's a risk you take, and I take my hat off to the guys that do it. I've taken that chance. Look at Stevie Ray, who taken that gamble, and it paid off massively for him. Look, he's done really, really well for himself financially, and made a good life for himself. He took that gamble. Again, like a lot of folk wouldn't have done it. When he was fighting the Cage Warriors, I remember when we were going down to Newcastle, and right before Stevie got signed to UFC, and he was genuinely like thinking about jacking it because he was just couldn't financially provide. He's got kids and stuff, so like he got that UFC call up and with like 2 weeks' notice, I think he cut like 11 kilos or something like that. 2 weeks, made the weight, and the rest is history. He's went off to have an amazing career in the UFC, like kind of a guy that I think everybody in Scotland probably should look up to. He's never taken an easy fight along the way. If you look at his record, everybody's fought, even if you like fighting on the local shows, he's fought some amazing fighters, even in the local scene before he got to the UFC. So, fair play to the guys that take the gamble and really go for it. Like, it's amazing if you can do it.
Do you think having guys like Stevie Ray and being around Stevie Ray when he was going through what you're going through, do you feel that might take the pressure off your shoulders a wee bit because you've seen the path being carved and you know what's expected of you, rather than if you were carving it for guys like Sean Clancy and Mark Hume?
Aye, that's it. I think you just got to have trust. Like more my like, not that I can't get to the UFC now, but I'm like I said, I'm 30. I think guys like wee Clancy and Mark Ewan and like Coonley and that, they're all young lads that are really like, they've got all the potential in the world. Like I think Mark's 21, just going to go pro, and like if he can get to like, I don't know, say 6-7-0 by the time he's 23, 24, I mean, he's going to pick him up. Like it's just a matter of time. And the way Mark fights, he's not just beating folk, he's like putting guys away like in quite spectacular fashion at times. So and that's what they look for. That's the things. You need a bit of luck. Like they don't tend to come to Scotland often looking for fighters. That's a bit of an issue. So unless you've got a good manager, they're kind of, if there's a London show or if they come back to the Hydro at some point, you're in my shout of getting signed. That's your kind of main chance for a Scottish fighter, to be honest. Unless you're doing like crazy things where it's hard in there. Like a lot of fighters have lost 2 years of their life, or 2 years of their fighting life, just through COVID. Like it's a shame. I was so happy I got signed to Cage Warriors when I did, because like, especially with the age I was getting to, I was like, I really needed to get moving, and I was really unfortunate with like a few fights when I had like opportunities. I was meant to fight in Bellator and I broke my hand, and then I was meant to fight in the EFC and the guy like didn't take the fight. I was meant to fight in M1 Global, the guy pulled out. It was just like one thing after another. I was just, it is what it is. Everything happens for a reason. But I'm so glad to get signed to Cage Warriors. It's an amazing promotion. Like they treat you really well, and I'm enjoying my time there now. Like,
so see, like setbacks like that where you can, well, obviously as a martial artist, your goal is to fight on the biggest shows in the world. It's to fight in the likes of EFC in South Africa. It's to fight on Cage Warriors, Brave. So how do you cope with the kind of setbacks when stuff like that happens? Because obviously a fighter's mind is usually very more unique than like a non-fighter's mind. So just kind of explain to the viewers at home, because this might happen to them in their life, like setbacks. Like, how do you cope with stuff like that?
A couple of them are tough, to be honest. Like, because it happened like it was like 3 or 4 times on the bounce. It wasn't just like it happened over like a long period. It was like, I think I was maybe 5-1 or something at the time. I ended up having to fight on top again.
Yeah.
I ended up taking a fight last minute on top, but it was just that I couldn't. The fights that all fell through, and it was just like, oh, there's a fight in 2 weeks at on top. I was like, just take it, like, because I was going to just waste time. Do you know what I mean? I was just wasting time. Sorry, somebody shit for me here.
Oh, no, it's all right.
I just kind of waste time, and then the one in M on Global was an absolute sickener, to be honest, because that was I was due to fly on the Monday, and then the Thursday the boy pulled out, and they see the hassle I had to get through to get a visa for fighting in China and all that, and Danny Henry actually helped me a lot with all that stuff, and it was just a nightmare, and fighting that phone, and one thing I've always wanted to do with fighting is travel while I was fighting, and like kind of anywhere it was like China, Japan, you know what I mean, any Asian I was always really like, I've always really wanted to fight somewhere like that, so that was an absolute sickener, to be honest. So that one was really tough to take, but it's just like you say, with your mindset, you just need to be strong and just I just kept training, I just kept my head down, kept training hard. I think what's not for you, I'll not go by you. So I just kind of knew I knew if I kept training hard and kept winning, things would come my way and opportunities would come my way. I was getting a lot of managers and stuff messaging me when I was like 6-1 or whatever, and oh, you want to sign here? I can get you on this show and that show. But I wasn't interested, man. I've got a lot of faith in James. I've not got a manager or anything like that. I just let James deal with everything. I've got so much trust in him. Because at the end of the day, he's got the best interest for me.
Yeah.
So I just put whatever he tells me, I just go with. Like, that's it. He's got me this far, so why would I try and jump ship and let somebody else take control of who I try and fight or whatever?
That does make a lot of sense, to be fair, because like James, he knows what you're capable of, perhaps more than you do at times, because he'll see things that you don't see, and you might be a bit more reserved about your task, whereas he'll go, no, you definitely could do this, and he'll help put you into because part of a coach's role is to help put you into uncomfortable situations, whereas if you're a manager, it's a bit of a yes man. That might not happen, and obviously
they're only caring about their cut or that. Like, they're not really that. They're not like emotionally invested in you in any way.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough, but don't get me wrong, if that's, they can get you to places sometimes that other folk can't. So James has got enough contacts in the sports where he's got contacts in every big organisation anyway. So like, he knows what's best for me, and that's who I'd always leave in charge. That's just my preference. Everybody's different. That is what it is.
Because we've been talking a lot about higher level and a lot about your coach James today, and just one of the questions that I've wanted to ask one of the fighters is, do you see like higher level being Scotland's first super gym? Let's see, like we have in America with the likes of American Top Team, American Kickboxing Academy. You have it across the world as well. Do you think that could be something that we see with higher level?
It could. There's a lot of I'm trying to get the word. There's a lot of affiliates with higher level, as in gyms. Like, I think our brother's gym, Submission Factory, that's an affiliate to higher level as well. And then you've got Ian Feenan's gym is the same, which is Food Dog. And then you've got Stevie Ray's gym, Braveheart. They're all affiliates. And I think there's one, is it Jack's gym, which is that's also an affiliate. So
Dean Middleton's.
Yeah, Dale Middleton's one. Aye, so they're all affiliates to higher level. So James, like, he wouldn't let people. He wouldn't let, unless he had trust in the coaches. He wouldn't let them be affiliates, if that makes sense. So they guys all come and spar and that and stuff. So I don't think our gyms would ever fight any of those gyms. But nowadays, there didn't seem to be a lot of the Scottish amateur scene. Mainly because of COVID, but like a lot of the Scottish amateurs didn't really seem to fight as much anymore. It seems to be getting like guys for England. It used to happen at pro level, like a lot of times the Scottish pro. It's weird how it's all worked. Like Scottish pros and that never really fought here. It seemed to be like you're always getting like foreigners in and stuff. Where when I first started watching MMA, when like James and all that was about, Stevie Ray, like all the Scottish gyms all just fought. But I think it was probably because the sport wasn't as big or whatever, and there probably wasn't as many gyms and stuff, and probably financial reasons as well. Like, but it tend to be like there was more stuff like that. But I know We've obviously got the higher level affiliates, but that's I don't know if it could be like a super gym or that. I think James has got enough stress on him now.
Fuck, I can imagine. Because see, you did speak about this a wee bit earlier, but do you feel this is like kind of helped you as a gym and helped you as a fighter as well? But see, like having these affiliate gyms, because obviously, at higher level, they're big affiliates for the D unit in Dumbarton and the Grip House in Glasgow. Do you think having that kind of chain of coaches and outreach training partners, has that helped you a lot as a fighter?
Aye, definitely. Like over the years, like we used to go to, well, we used to do a sparring on a Friday at the Grip House. When I first started, we used to, for our Friday sparring, we used to go through the Grip and spar because they had I think they probably had a bigger pool of fighters at the time. Just over the years, they've kind of, their pro kind of fighters have kind of, there's not as many as them. I think there's maybe only Reese now for the Grip. But then the D unit, we used to go through the D unit, and then sometimes they would come to us, and that was all just like, it was only the Dinky Ninja gyms that we only trained with them back then, to be honest. I don't think there was really as much as like you say, like Paul McBain and stuff coming to the spar, and that never really happened as much back then. It was kind of like the Dinky Ninja gyms all just trained together, but now like we kind of let anybody come into spar now, like which is good, man. It's good to get different looks, and it benefits other people, and it benefits us getting. It's good to get fresh sparring partners and guys that are going to give you different looks and different ideas. So, aye.
Because that's it. Like, Scotland's no a massive country. We've no got a booming MMA scene the same as what England do as well. So I think a lot of the time the gyms need to kind of lean on each other.
I think that's kind of why, like I was saying before, but like Scottish guys not really fighting each other as much, and that I think it's kind of got like that now a bit more. I think that there's certain gyms that don't come and train with us and stuff, but I mean, majority of guys come and train. It's kind of an open door policy with most guys. Like I think if most folks shoot James a message and say, "Oh, I ever come to spar?" He'll say, "I can come and fire in." It's fine, but I think you're right. Like Scottish kind of community should try and stick together and like going forward, like to try like you say, it's a small country. Like all the Scottish guys could kind of really root for each other when they're fighting and stuff, but I dare say most folk do.
Aye. Because just the last question to kind of round us off for the night, and this is always quite a difficult one because, as you explained, like MMA, you don't really know what's happening tomorrow, never mind in 5 years. But if I was to ask you right now, like, where do you see your career in 5 years' time?
I'd like to, obviously, the main goal for me just now is I just kind of set wee small goals, like just to win my next fight in Cage Warriors and then obviously I want to try and get to that belt, and then if the kind of what always usually happens, if you win the belt at Cage Warriors, you get to the UFC. So that, I mean, that's obviously the main goal. If it happens, it happens. It doesn't. Like I've had a great, like I enjoy it. Like I do this because I enjoy it. Like if anything comes out, it's a bonus for me. Like I've had some amazing experiences, and I want to hear a lot more. Like I say, I'm still only 30, and I'm still always learning. So I've got plenty of time left in this sport. So obviously UFC is the end goal. If it doesn't happen, I'd like to fight in some other big organisations, if whatever, or I'll just see what happens. Like I say, I've got this contract with Cage Warriors now, and I'm quite happy where I am.
Yeah, that's a brilliant answer. And I know it's always a difficult one to answer because it's so, like, the sport's so unpredictable.
Yeah.
Especially with the situation with COVID and all that as well. But fingers crossed we can get back to like complete normality. I know it's
I know.
But
I know I'm missing the football. No, can't even get to the football game these days, mate.
Did you at least get in? Did you get in the ballot?
I've not got a letter or anything yet, so I doubt it.
Neither have I. I don't know what end it's getting it, but
I don't know if it's been drawn yet.
After he was saying it was a day. After he was saying if you didn't get a letter the day or an email the day, then I was probably just fired all the fucking corporates in.
I'm out, I think.
Because do you ever see Cage Warriors coming up to Scotland?
I would like that, to be honest. That'd be pretty cool because they were calling for that. And there's a lot of guys unsigned now that could get on. Like, is that a Reece McEwen t-shirt you've got in there?
Aye.
Like wee Reece is an example. Like, he would be great to get on a Cage Warriors card. I actually tagged Cage Warriors and something to try and get him on one of the cards. He's a good fighter, man. He's got a good work ethic for fighting and that. But there's lots of young pros like Mark and stuff who should be getting on. And obviously, I don't know if Kier's getting a contract or whatever. But Kier will get back on after his performance, I'd like to think. But there's lots of good Scottish pros coming through, and lots of Scottish pros still kicking about that could easily get on a Cage Warriors card. So it'd be nice to get them up here, just getting a decent venue.
See, on a kind of personal note here as well, do you feel that there'll come a point in your MMA career where you'll see to reach the highest level, like reach the likes of the UFC, that you'll need to make like a very difficult decision where you go full-time MMA and just kind of ditch the day job? Or
I don't know if I would, to be honest, man. I don't know if I would. I've already thought about it before. It's just like, realistically, if I did get sent to UFC, it might not be till I was 31, 32. I've only got like 3 years or something probably fighting in me.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't quit my job. I'd maybe try and get less hours or something. It's just like, when you've got a mortgage and stuff, like, see, to be honest, if I was going to do it, I should have done it when I was like 25. When I first went pro, I actually kind of thought about it at that point. And in hindsight, I probably wish I maybe did try it then, but I got a lot of bad luck with injuries and stuff and blah, blah, blah. And it probably worked out good that I didn't, because I would have been sitting on the sidelines with no money for a while. So it's seeing unless you're in the UFC, you're not making money. Like, well, I'm not saying that because, like, I know Bellator's starting to pay a bit better and your Braves and what, like, but you're not making money to actually live any sort of form of decent life.
And then once a lot of the time you've paid, like, if you're fighting
manager,
once you've paid taxes, and all that, like that 20 grand that you're getting for your fight, that can slowly whittle down.
So the entry level for like a UFC fighter's 10 and 10 is like the bog standard contract is what you'll come in on. So if you work that out, you don't win your debut or whatever, you're coming in with $10,000 that's going to get taxed. Yeah, and you've got to convert the dollars into pounds. So you're, what's eight grand tops, 7.5 grand, something like that. And then you've obviously got, you might have a manager to pay, and it's like you need to fight a minimum of 3 times a year to have any form of life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just when you actually work it, it's just tough. Like, unless you can get a job where you can, like, be working in a gym, PTN and stuff. I think that works. That definitely works. Which is maybe something I should have looked at back 5 years ago or something. But I just don't think I'd ever quit my job for it. Like, I love it, and I've had a kind of brief spell. Like, I've taken time off work and done the full time, and it is good, man. I enjoy it, and you get to rest better and stuff. But I mean, the boy I fought the other day, I mean, he's a full time fighter. I still managed to win, so like, I'm just kind of like, it works for me. I still get a lot of training, and I'm quite lucky in my work. I get an hour during the day where I can still do like cardio and weights, and then I'm doing like 2-3 hours a night. I'm just not breaking the sessions up like these guys are doing, where they're maybe doing an hour or 2 in the morning, an hour or 2 in the afternoon, and an hour or 2 at night. I'm just like hammering my 3 hours or whatever at night, and I'm doing an hour during the day. So I'm still getting 4 hours training in a day, 5 times a week, sometimes 6. Like, it's when I've got fights, I'm 6 times a week. So like, I know I'm still putting in the work. So the only thing that's more beneficial for them is that they're getting better rest.
Yeah, like they can go for a sleep in the afternoon or sleep between training, which it does make sense. But I think a lot of young fighters out there, listening to you, I hope it makes the decisions that they're going to make a wee bit more informed, because your worry is that fighters take this jump at 18, 19 years old. Maybe
I think that's it. I'm going to be a fighter.
Aye, and might not work out for them.
I think it's a good time to do it though.
Yeah,
see, like,
absolutely.
I think it's a good time to do it. Like, see what like your your Marks and wee Clancy's or whatever. Like, if they really want to do it, and like, well, Mark and that's their full time. Like, pretty much, they should do it young. Like, go and fucking have a crack at it. Like, dedicate your life to it, because that's what you need to do. And to be honest, having a job isn't it great for fighting, because you're like, you can't have any thought. Like, I know it sounds a bit hanging that, but you're in a fight. You fucking, if you're going to break my arm, like, that's can be the you just need to think that way sometimes. Like, where if you're thinking you're in a fight and you're like, break my arm, you're like, fuck, I've got my work to go on Monday. You shouldn't have that thought in your head. There should be no other thought in your head but the fight. So that's why I always take extra time off when I've got fights. I'm like, I could be fucked after it, and I didn't really, like, that's just what you're going to do in a fight. It can, anything goes. Like, you've got to be willing to fucking take a sacrifice in there, like, so. But like I said, these young guys coming through, they really should have a right go at it, young age.
I'm sure if any of them are listening, then they might take that advice. But it's just good to see both sides of the coin, because obviously you're working extremely hard and you're fighting at a world class level. So you're showing, like, see for like younger kids that maybe got a girl, maybe got a kid at a young age, or they maybe moved out to their parents, got a mortgage at a young age, and they still want to pursue fighting as well. You're showing that you still can do that. It's just your sacrifice.
It's you didn't have much of a social life, didn't get me wrong, but like, I enjoy the whole training, and like, you meet some amazing guys through martial arts as well. Like, so I don't know, just it works. For a prime example, Danny Henry's signed to the UFC, fought in the UFC 4 times or whatever, still signed to the UFC. Danny's still got a part-time job, and he works full-time. He's worked full-time and part-time during his fighting career. So it shows you can still do it. Like, you're just making, I mean, didn't get me wrong, you're at a slight advantage being full-time, but there is still ways of doing it. If you really want it and you really want to put in hours, like, if you ask any guys at training, I never miss a session. Like, I'm there for every session. Over the last 7 years or whatever, since, or even before I went pro, probably my last 4 or 5 amateur fights, I'm dedicated. Like, I'm there. I barely ever miss a session. So, like, you've just got to be dedicated, put the work in, and what happens. Like, that's, I don't, not that I don't take it seriously. Like, I just think I just kind of go with the flow with it. Like, whatever happens. Like, if you're like, I'm 100% confident I can get to UFC or whatever, or make a career at this, give it all up, and you might get the benefits for it. There's no harm in trying. You don't try, you don't fucking get. You know what I mean? Like, if you fail, you fail. That's the way I kind of look at things. I'd rather, like, you see all these guys that are fucking in the pubs and that. Like, you've probably been in a pub yourself where the boys been like, oh, I could have been playing with fucking Celtic or whatever, and if this injury never happened, or I had the bear, like, they're just excuses. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll die happy knowing that I've gave this my all. Like, so, do you know what I mean? I know to be one of the fucking guys in the pub that I said, oh, I could have done this, or fucking, I would have done this, and very good. You know what I mean? Go and try and do it.
That's it. If you don't live, you'll be full of regrets for the rest of the 100%. Especially with sport. Like, sport is such a short window in the grand scheme of things, because, like, you're 30 and you're already saying that you're kind of going over the hill a wee bit, and it just seeing life, that just sounds mental. Like, I know sport, like, you're just kind of hitting your prime.
Nah, right now, I would say I'm getting close to like my prime. Like, I'm feeling the most comfortable I've been in fights. Like, I'm more switched on I've been, as in more, like, I'm so comfortable. I'm not like, I'm not making stupid decisions in fights, as in so, like, right now I feel like I'm probably my skill set's probably at its best, and I'm still learning, I'm still picking up new stuff, but I think I'm probably the most well-rounded fighter I've been, and I feel like in the fights I'm probably the smartest I've been fighting. So I feel like you say, I'm not saying I could easily fight for another 5-6 years. It's whether my body can hold up. Like I played football since I was a kid, man. Like I was all right. Like I played a couple of pro games and that was still in Albion, and then ended up playing junior and fucking hated it. So I've done sports my full life. It's just like your body can only do it for so long, and but like now I feel like I've barely got any. Like I feel fresh as anything. Like I feel probably in the best shape I've ever been in my life, and that's another thing with martial arts. I think people always look at the brutality of fighting and stuff, but they're some of the best athletes in the world, eh?
Oh, absolutely.
But, you know, and people forget that.
I think, see, for anyone that doesn't really appreciate what you guys put yourself through, they just need to clinch with like one of these high-level athletes. Not even a high-level one. You could just take your average Joe in a Thai class. Like, see somebody that's like pretty good, working towards their first Muay Thai fight. Like, try clinching with them for 2 minutes and see how fucked they're after it.
People are so naive at fighting as well. Like, you get these boys that are in the local boozer that actually think they can fight, and then I could get a 15-year-old that's fucking even fought amateur yet to blitter them. Like, but they're so naive in their own kind of self kind of aura that they think they're actually, they could like batter anybody kind of thing. Like, it's incredible. Like,
because obviously you're for quite a small town in Iowa, and as you're on the telly a lot more, you'll be becoming a lot more well known in Iowa. Is that ever anything that you get? Like, do you ever get?
Not so much. There's been see in Iowa, man. There's a wee local kind of club that everybody's called Charmers, and there's always somebody starting. It's like a nightclub, but it's like an old church. It's rough as fuck, and you go in there, man, and fucking everybody's want to pop it. Like, that's why I buy the fucking Stone Island jumper, so maybe gives me any shite, so I think I'm hard as fuck.
I never Stone Island jumper the injured like that.
I didn't really look like a fighter either, so like, I didn't fucking. I think the only time I get a bit of respect is because I've got a couple of cool ears, That's about it.
Cut above your eye.
A couple of cuts.
But Stevie, thanks very much for your time today. It's been very well appreciated. Do you have any social medias that you want to shout out just before we go?
I've got a million sponsors, so I can't even thank them all. But just all my sponsors they help me a lot. Like just feel like I've got physios, strength conditioning guys that just help out with towards training and stuff, and I just fit like it's meal prep sponsors and stuff. It just they're all brilliant. I take too long to try and individually thank them all. So that's about it. And all my teammates at higher level and Coach James and stuff. That's it.
See, just before we go, actually, I've got one last question, just because you brought up sponsors there. See, for any young athlete out there who's looking to make that jump that isn't quite sure about sponsors yet and doesn't really know how to go about that, could you just summarise that quite quickly, like how?
Yeah,
I
think a lot of the time, I think I usually just put something up when I've got fights now, and just see. I've got kind of a lot of sponsors who sponsor me for a long time. A local pub and stuff that's always sponsored me. I've got a physio that sponsors me, strength conditioning, blah blah blah. But like they've kind of they'll do all my fights, and until they say otherwise, I don't want to sponsor me anymore. Then I just have them for every fight. I put them on my logos and my fight banner and stuff. But I just put something up every fight and say I'm looking for a couple of new sponsors and see who's up for it. For like guys who are obviously want to make a career at it, I think trying to get ones that'll give you some sort of financial backing is probably the best for them, because obviously it's tough to get back. You want to get something back for your fighting. The purses in MMA, like a lot of folk will know that, especially in the local scene, you're getting buttons. So until you get to like a decent level, you're not really making much. So I think the best way to go about it is even just you can even just mail kind of. There's social media is a great thing. Like there's so many different kind of brands and companies that you can just message online and see if they would be up for sponsoring. Just tell them a bit about yourself and stuff. I think that'd probably be the best way to go about it.
So basically just kind of like self-promotion rather than waiting for them in your
I mean, I've had a lot of sponsors approach me, and I've had I've messaged a couple of folk, like for example, that for the meal prep and stuff. I was looking for a new meal prep sponge. I just put something on my social media, and a guy's got in touch with me and stuff. So I think it's like I said, social media is a great thing. So I think just either getting in touch with them or them getting in touch with you. But I think you'll probably be waiting longer if you're waiting for somebody to get in touch with you, especially if you're just an amateur or whatever.
Aye.
I think when you're obviously getting your name out there and you're on a bigger platform, it's easier to get sponsors when you're putting it to a worldwide audience and stuff. But you need to support these grassroots fighters too. Like I shared a thing about for Mark Ewan, who's got like, just because I think it's a great opportunity for somebody, because like obviously because I train with him, I feel he'll go very far in the sport. So I think just try to help him get extra sponsors and stuff. Like I just think it's a good opportunity for businesses as well, because it's good because I think along the way he'll go to the very top. He'll go as far as he wants to go, I think.
Yeah, it's just kind of trying to get in with him at the moment while he's still quite fresh, and then just have the top with him.
That's it.
So brilliant. Thanks very much.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, guys, for listening.